Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to RWB's Clash of the Warriors Season 2. We're done with round 1, we're done with round 2. The BMWs are out of the window, Nürburgring and Donington. We've had our races, and we've had some good races at that. Today, we are in our Audi R8 LMS Evo 2019s around Misano. I am, as always, joined by my fellow commentator, Mr. Draki. G'day, Mr. Draki.
G'day, g'day.
And then I think we have Charger and Nate in here as well. We'll see how much they talk. Charger, you here?
Yeah, good evening.
No, he is indeed. But yeah, folks, hour and 45 minutes here around Misano. Of course, Misano, an amazing track. And I think, just getting started here with our formation. We do have Auto Director on, so you might see it jumping around a bit, but we'll definitely be trying our best with that. Do we have a full formation lap? I'm not quite sure. I don't think we have a full formation lap, do we? I think it's
negative. It's partial, so they're almost at the starting line.
Okay, well, folks, let's have a look. Let's wait for the green, and their flag has dropped. It goes green. We're currently riding with Hayden, getting a squeeze on Dahlgren, and they're pulling alongside. In front of them, we have Nigel Wood and Cecilio, switching now to another cam of Hayden. Of course, battling with what looks like, I think that's a Nigel on his inside. Yes, I think that is very close to each other. But hey, I mean, that's how racing works these days. Cecilio and Bittersea, I don't know if you guys can see them up in front. Beautiful battle between those two as well. Bittersea just not getting the grip he wants and not doing what he can maybe potentially do with that Audi. Beautiful here from Hayden, however. Sizing up, I think that's Bittersea next to him. Bittersea falling quite a few places now, sizing up. Hayden can he do the move? No, he can't. Bit of contact there between the two, but Hayden sticks in behind again and gets hopefully that slipstream down. Draki, we haven't talked a lot. Hi, first of all. What can we expect at Misano tonight?
Yeah, hi as well. What we can expect. I think some clean but chaotic racing is the way I would describe it. As Misano is an interesting track with 16 corners, of course. Some fast corners, some slow corners. So it's enough opportunity to do something.
Definitely is, folks. Of course, Misano, one of the tracks that's been driven in both layouts, clockwise and anti-clockwise. While we are going clockwise today, I can tell you these drivers' heads will be turning. It isn't a very easy circuit. It looks easy on the eye, but it definitely isn't easy as it might seem. As we see the two, Nigel Wood and Magnus Dahlgren, they're pulling alongside in front of Damien Wilk, and it looks like Nigel got the hand over Dahlgren. Dahlgren not being able to do anything just yet. And as I'm talking to him, Auto Director wants me to talk about him, obviously. Honestly, beautiful racing, Draki. Is there anything Misano is a bit popular for? I know you like to sometimes do your research. Have you done any research on it, or do you still pull up
a little bit, to say the least. What we know, next year it's celebration time for them, because then the circuit is 100 years old. So that's quite interesting, actually. Almost 100 years old. It was made on the 3rd of September 1922. Then it was officially opened, at least. Another interesting thing I saw, actually, the fastest time in a GT3 car around here is actually an Audi R8 LMS Evo. And it's a 132.667. And I just looked at the qualifying times. They're not running 132.666. So that's actually interesting, because I was expecting them to be around the same level. Of course, they're still quite fast around here, but I'm not sure what to expect in lap times today.
It is quite it's kind of weird, isn't it, Rocky? These drivers, of course, amazing drivers, but I mean, ACC is only, realistic to a point. So, the question is, them not being able to set those lap times, is that driver skill, or is that, the sim not being realistic enough? What exactly is it? And I think, of course, as we see the tire evolution, or tire evolution, track evolution, and, the fuel, of course, getting less less and less throughout the race. You know, we'll see faster and faster lap times. Maybe we can dip into the 132s. I'm not quite sure how far they're off in qualifying, but I mean, I think it's gonna be fun to see what these drivers could do. As we see Nigel Wood here, I think alongside, is that Hayden? I believe it is. Battling it out, Hayden keeping on the inside, opting for the inside line. Is that going to pay off? It looks like it does. Folks, of course, this track, it's easy to go for an overtake, but it isn't as easy to make it stick as Hayden wants to prove to us again. Oh, and there's massive bit of contact there between the two. Either it was that or my screen just lagged. Hayden and Nigel now switching positions, I believe. But we see Magnus Dahlgren in that battle as well, may I say. Magnus keeping his nose clean and sticking himself in between those two drivers. I mean, Droki, that's what Magnus does a lot, isn't it? He kind of just waits for everyone to make a mistake. Well, not always, but I mean, we've seen that a lot from him. He waits for everyone else to make a mistake, and then he just, kind of keeps his nose clean, gets a good line, and then goes through, isn't it?
There's actually a lot of drivers doing that, I've noticed lately. But it's smart. Because as long as you're driving clean laps, not getting yourself in contact with anybody, and just setting pressure to the guys in front of you, they will, you hope of course, eventually make a little mistake, and that little mistake can already help you to get or closer or past them. So it's gonna be interesting to see what the tactics are today around this track.
It definitely will be interesting. Of course, Misano, folks, famous for looking extremely beautiful. Oh, as we see here, is that Dahlgren? Yes, it is. Dahlgren making a beautiful move down the inside there of what looks like to be Nigel, I believe. Was that Nigel? I'm not quite sure. Not quite sure. Was I on? No, sorry, that was Hayden. Sorry, I do apologize. No, that was Nigel. You know what? I'm not gonna.
It was indeed Nigel.
Was it Nigel? Okay, I was just about to say.
Yes.
Wait there for a second. Of course, Misano does look incredibly beautiful, but Rocky, track limits. Misano, of course, it's kind of one of those tracks, I would say. It's not like France, where it looks very enticing. Oh, as we see, as I'm talking about track limits, it looks very enticing to, just take that little bit of extra curb, maybe push it a bit too far. Do you think the drivers are going to have some problems with track limits today, or do you think that, they'll keep it clean? What do you expect out of them?
I think towards the middle, towards when their tires are degrading, I think they will start making some mistakes sliding out of the corners, because the tires are getting worse and worse and worse, and you have less grip, especially on the exit. So I think there might be some warnings of track limits, but I think they will mostly keep it clean. As we saw just with that car going off in the background a few seconds ago, I can definitely tell that was track limits.
I would assume it was track limits going off that far. But yeah, I mean, Misano, the thing is you do see some of those kind of sausage curbs, the Rocky, that do prevent you from going off, but they aren't everywhere. So I think it's easy for a driver, to kind of maybe dip their back in a bit too far and kind of get a warning. But I mean, we'll see. As you said, the middle part of the race, usually where it gets a bit hard, the tires are in a graining phase, and they are struggling. So we'll see what happens. But the one person I do want us to keep an eye out for, the Rocky, is Mr. Magnus Dahlgren. In P9 currently, about 1.8 seconds off Mr. Rick Binnersley. Rick, of course, is fast, but we've seen some amazing performances from Magnus as well. Drocky, do you want to give us an overlook between those two? Who's your favorite between those?
It's hard to say, man. Both good drivers, very good. I don't want to make anyone mad, so I'm gonna say like them both at the same amount. I don't know what about you, if you're willing to say it, but
now you're just sucking up to them both. No, I'll keep the same opinion. I like them both, but I mean, well, we've seen some stunning performances from both. Rick, of course, popular for his big old Bentley, which of course, unfortunately, he can't drive now. As we see there, Nigel showing us the track limits there, really outlining them for us by putting his wheels on those sausage curbs. But folks, In the lead currently, we have Radek Schuller, beautiful racing from him, as always. And right behind him, about 4.7 tenth gap, is Jay Alexander. With the fastest lap. RWB Door then follows in P3 with MO Plate in P4 right behind him. 6-7 behind him is Tyrion, and a second behind him is Martin Schaefer. Cecilo then takes up P7 with Rick Benusli, 2.5 seconds behind him in P8. Magnus Dahlgren then, as we said, following him in P9, and then Nigel Wood rounding up the top 10. Rocky, P11 to the bottom of the field. Do you want to take us through that?
Of course, I want to take you through that. P11, Ross Hayden, behind him Peter Varga, behind him Xavier Eugene. Then I have to scroll a little bit. Maiko Sky in P14. Damien Wilk, P15. Driving pretty good right now. Mr. Gretschel, we of course saw him last week a lot. He actually just overtook Mr. Wilk, so that's a little bit of a change. Matt L into P16. To my amaze, I don't know what about you, Kai Banks in P17. We know he started in last place, because he had an injury at his foot, correct?
Yeah, so folks, well, we did actually get a message from Kai saying, unfortunately, he had to start from the back of the grid because he couldn't qualify because of, I think, big toe injury, I think it was. But injury is an injury in sim racing and racing as a whole. But hey, amazing Rocky, amazing drive from him as well. Already up into P17. We've seen some really good performances out of him in almost any car. So I am expecting quite a bit from him. I would be lying if I said I wasn't expecting a lot from him, you know?
Yeah, I get you. P18 now, Damien Wilk. I think he made a little mistake. 19, Mr. Burek. I'm just going through the whole field, only 10 left to go, so... Mr. Hodgson in P20. Thomas Mraz, if I say it correct, in 21st place. Mr. Florentin in P22. Our own Debug actually down in P23. That's gonna be interesting to see what he's gonna do. Mr. Fleck down in P24, Shun P25, Duckworth P26, Bartes P27, Richard Jones P28, Matt Shablon P29, and Josh Butler in P30, and that's the field.
It's always I do have to say, it's always a fun field, isn't it? I do have to say, it's always a really fun field. Kind of all these drivers extremely good, of course, but it's just fun watching them. I do have to say, it's very fun watching them. But currently, let's have a look at this man, Magnus Dahlgren, making a bit of a mistake there. But next to him is Mr. Nigel Wood, making a lot of mistakes. And they're now going side by side into the hairpin. Looks like Nigel gets better braking, and Magnus kind of gives up that position. Going down now to Burek, battling with Madal in front of him and Hodgson behind him. Of course, all three very strong drivers. Al has shown us some stuff, the Rocky, hasn't he? We've seen quite a few, I would say, good drives from him. That isn't to forget. Matthew Hodgson then going up against Mraz. Sorry, folks. Side by side, out of the hairpin, then into what they call a turn, classified as a turn, really. And then into one of our last turns on the circuit, Hodgson pulling ahead quite nicely there. Getting the lead. The Rocky, Madel, we've seen a bit from him. Should we be looking out for him? Any standout performances today, do you think?
Of course, it's Madel. I think we should always watch out for him. Not in a bad way, but he is a very good driver. If you see the last race, last week, round 2, that was... someone spun there with Richard Jones, actually. But yeah, Madel always goes for the gap and stays in his place where he is at that time, going into the corner. So yeah, it's always interesting to see him race. Good races, so yeah, then it's gonna be interesting today.
one it definitely is, folks. Of course, if you are just joining us, welcome. you've missed out on a bit. We are at Misano as Peter Varga now comes to a stop at the side of the track. Peter, they're deciding he wants to take a bit of a break and maybe take a bit of vacation. Who knows what happening? Maybe something of Hayden there to do. Jack Alexander now. This is the battle I've been wanting to see the whole time, but it hasn't happened. Jack Alexander against Radek Schiller. Radek Schiller, of course, race leader. But Radek Schiller, funnily enough, the Rocky, holding the fast slap, which is currently at a 1:35.0. Dead, going faster on that previous lap as well. The Rocky, do you think they could take 3 seconds off that time? Do you think they could make it into the 1:32s?
Maybe. It's gonna be interesting. Might I actually correct you that Mr. Alexander has the fastest lap?
I did say that, did I not?
No, you said Mr. Shula, because Mr. Shula has a 35.042 and Mr. Alexander has a 35.005.
I do apologize. I was thinking Mr. Alexander. I said Mr. Schiller. I do apologize.
No problem. You know me, right? Everything has to be correct.
Always correct. But luckily, folks, not a lot of incidents happening today. Not having a look on an incident log. Last accident has been about 2 minutes. So we're doing good today. Alexander now in that slipstream of Radek Schiller. Can he do anything? Can he do anything? Is he close enough into this corner? He isn't going to look for a move. He's just going to stick behind. Draghi would. Oh no, Jack Alexander. Oh no, Jack Alexander is doing so well. Jack Alexander doing so well and lost the back end there. I think touched the inside curb, lost the back end, and unfortunately spun out, handing the lead over now to Radek. Not handing it over, but giving Radek a massive time to pull away. Not what Alexander would have wanted, Draghi, is it?
Of course not. Like we said, it's an interesting track because there is actually quite some height difference. I don't know the exact number, but from what I've seen, there's some height difference, and I think with an incline or a decrease, it's just hitting the wrong curb with the wrong speed, and you're done. To say the least, you're in the gravel trap and hope you can save it. So. That is indeed inverted. Oh.
Unfortunately, there Alexander now down in P4. RWB Door actually taking P2 now in that number 917 Audi, and behind him Mo Plate to finish off the top 3. Alexander not going to be very happy about that. I can assure that. Draki, I can definitely assure that. Third Gretchel now, folks. In P13, being chased by what looks like to be a wild Hayden, and Burek, what looks like to be chasing a wild Mraz. Quite a few interesting battles here, Rocky, aren't we? The field, it has spread out, but we can still see quite a few battles. It's exciting, isn't it?
It is indeed exciting, especially with all the lap times. Taking a look at it, and there's some guys in the midfield driving times about a second faster than the guy in front, so that's still gonna be interesting, and that's all because of qualifying. Some guys maybe missed it, some guys might not been able to put even a good lap in, so that's always nice about having a mixed up field. We always have some battles.
It definitely is interesting, and if you have a look at kind of the times, Radek Schiller now actually dipping into 1:34s, which is pretty good lap time, yet Alexander's still going faster than that, so Drake, I think, is definitely showing. There's quite a bit of a difference between these drivers in there. As you said, it isn't, all the fast guys aren't up front. There is quite a difference in terms of where the fast guys are. As you said, some of them didn't qualify. Maybe, there was a turn 1 incident. Do you think they'll all come through? Do you think other traffic could play a big part?
Of course, traffic can play.
Oh, sorry, I was just watching that battle. Ross Hayden getting put in a wall there, but I think that was Dirk Gretchel. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Ross going to stop. Major impact there. I would have loved to see a replay of that. He is going to have to go to the pits. That was Draghi, oh my word, sorry, I wanted to talk about it, but you were talking about the faster drivers, and then Ross just got put in the wall. I think it might have been partially his fault, but it did look unfortunate. It's a very unfortunate accident, and not what he would have wanted. I wish we had a replay, man. If we had a replay, we could at least see what happened.
Yeah, of course, it would be very nice to be able to get the replays in there.
Someone in chat will clip it. Someone's always there to clip it, isn't there? Okay, well, that is now 2 big accidents for today. We've had the Jack Alexander spin and then Ross Hayden, unfortunately getting into a wall. Hopefully you don't see any more of that. I think that accident was logged as... I'm gonna have a look. I think it was just said accident involving car 82. So not really, the game not really telling us much about who did it or what happened. Okay, so Draghi, let's say, who do you think is going to be the standout driver for today? Yeah, let's say that standout driver of the day.
Kai Banks.
Kai Banks.
That's the easiest answer, as he's already into P14. That means he has gained over 16 places, or just about 16 places.
Now, question is, could that be attributed to a massive dive bomb on the first lap? Could be. We wouldn't.
Depends. Of course, you can overtake people into the first corner, but I think that not 16 places, because I saw him in P18 a few minutes ago. So that's some driving he's doing out there. He was actually the guy that's about a second faster than the guys around him. Not last lap, but the lap before, he was really fast.
Draghi, wait, no, you have to, Draghi. Sorry, as we saw, Debug there making a beautiful move there, folks, up the inside of Burek, who we're currently looking. Burek now looking to come back at him. I do apologize, Draghi. It was just too good to not commentate on. Looks like Debug and Burek are having a very good fight, aren't they? Having quite a bit of a tussle.
Of course, it's Debug, right?
No, for those who don't know, Debug has showed us some absolute amazing races, especially with the battles. So well done to him. I hope we can see even more. I think it was Debug, right? I'm decently sure it was. Oh,
it should have been, yeah.
Checking as well. That is a danger. Up ahead of them though, Alan Mars. They're pulling alongside. Can't really see what's happening there. Oh, no, it wasn't. Oh, it was. Sorry, I do apologize. It wasn't Alan Mars. I think that was Mars. But now Alan Mars getting a bit loose, and I think that is Mars that loses it, and that gives Burek now a place to gain. Of course, the time boards aren't updating just yet, but Debug sticking his nose in there as well. Sticking his nose into Burek, actually. Trying to find Peter Varga, folks, getting a drive-through penalty. I'm going to go ahead and assume that's for some kind of track limit validation. Or maybe speeding in the pits, possibly, could be. Not quite sure. Draghi, why are these midfield battles always so entertaining? I mean, of course, someone like Debug, Zurek, Mraz, all battling out for one position at P17. Why is it always so entertaining? As we see Lee Duckworth here battling with RWB Flak, and Flak gets the upper hand. Draghi, why is it so entertaining? What do we love about it?
I was about to say the Audi is wider than the BMW last week, so that might be something, but I'm just looked it up and I'm lying about that, as the BMW is wider than the Audi, but I think it's the midfield. The guys have about the same pace, they know each other, they know how to race, they are very good racers, so they know how to keep it clean, but still have fun with each other and pushing each other around a little bit and setting pressure on each other. So I think it's a combination of multiple things.
I mean, it would make sense, wouldn't it? It would definitely make sense. As I said, these drivers know each other inside out. They know how to race. They know how the dynamic is. They know, where are the limits for the other racers, and I think that's definitely what helps them. Even like someone like Asian, as you're watching right now, like he is in the backfield, but he's very close behind him to RWB Flak, and in front of him to Florentin. So, although it isn't the, how can I say this? It isn't the top racing of the day. It is still absolutely amazing racing because these drivers are constantly pushing each other to the edge. To the edge. They're pushing each other to a place where I think most racers should be.
I have to fully agree with that. That's just the truth. Nothing more to add on that one.
Give us some information, Drocky. Anything interesting on the field? Any interesting lap times happening?
Just taking a look. Mr. Schula into the 135.3s. Door about copying him. Not that special, no. It's quiet around the track. So that's unfortunate. Of course, it's not quiet with 30 Audi R8 LMS Evos roaring engines, but
The action field is quiet. The field isn't quiet. The action on field is quiet. There's a very starking difference between the two. Agent Shun, still watching him there, hunting out Florentine, not being able to get very close. Florentine having pretty good pace there. What's the pace like there, Rocky? Agent Shun, oh, no, never mind. We cut away from him. Let's have a look at Victor Cecilo in P7. Currently he is having a look at Tyrian in P6. Is he close enough? Still 8 tenths away. So unless he goes for a very desperate move, I don't think he's close enough to Rocky. But definitely getting closer. Do you think this is kind of something we can expect? These drivers kind of a bit of a concertina effect. They're far out and then they're closer, further closer. Do you think that's what we can expect here tonight?
I think, yeah, it's just someone getting not fresh air, of course, they want fresh air. Just being able to pull away a little bit, but the guys behind are almost always faster because they see you, they want to or copy your pace or be faster. So it's a game of pushing and pulling. That's basically what's happening all around the field, and that's what I love about having seasons with guys all in the same car. I don't know what about you, Panda, but I'm actually loving this because you have the guys in the same car, so there's no car performance difference. There's no car that's better in the one corner or better on the straight. It's all about driving skills and of course a little bit of setup skills, but I think this is the perfect opportunity just to be able to show your own driving skills.
It definitely is. I mean, as you said it, we see Jack Alexander here looking for a move on Emma plate. Yeah, no, definitely, Dork. I think, kind of nullifying the car performance difference, I think, as you said, makes it so that it's, how can I say this? As you said, it's equal. You can see the driver's true pace, their true racing skill, instead of just, people blaming it on cars. We now see Jack Alexander there pulling alongside Schaefer, but they both have to lap cars. The lap car getting out of the way. Really well done to him. Of course, Jack Alexander, the Rocky, chasing down P2, which is Door again, but not a very easy job, is it? Spinning and losing everything, not really ideal. Not really ideal in a race like this, is it?
Of course not. It's never how to say this correctly without pissing anyone off. It's never good to spin or have issues with your car.
You see Rick Binnersley here, sorry, the Rocky, making a beautiful move here on Cecilio, going right around the outside, and Binnersley gets that place up in the P7. Continue, the Rocky.
That's my push talk. I'm back. Sorry. It's never good to spin or have issues with your car. You always want the perfect setup. So actually, I already have a question in mind if we're ever gonna do interviews after this. But how much minutes or hours? Oh, that's actually a spin.
that was a spin there in that battle between Rick Bittersley and Cecilio. Cecilio losing the backhand there, as we saw so many drivers losing the backhand, and unfortunately just steps out, and they can't do anything. Continue, Rocky.
I absolutely lost my story. Interesting to know how much hours they put into practicing, making their setups for the wet, for the dry, of course, because you always need to be prepared. But that's one thing I would be interested in to know, because there are guys obviously really good with making setups. They can be done maybe within a few hours. And there might be guys actually working on it for several hours, 7-8 hours, you never know, so...
I mean, yeah, of course, you know, the practice goes. These guys practice for an extreme amount of time, so it would logically make sense, right? That, you know, they put a lot of work into kind of perfecting their craft, if that makes sense. But now, as we talk about perfecting his craft, this man, RWB Door, he would want to, oh no, never mind. But Door would still want to be perfecting his craft up into P2. Emo played 4 tenths behind him, and then Alexander 4.5 tenths behind him. Currently looking at Miko Sky being chased down by Dirk Gretschel. I've seen some good drives from Dirk as well. Is Dirk going for a move? No, he isn't. Really hard to go for a move into that corner there. They're just kind of sticking in on the back of Mr. Sky, not really doing anything just yet. Rocky, what do you think the drivers are thinking? You know, when they're kind of thinking, you know, should I make a move? Should I not make a move? What do you think is going through their head?
I think they're considering, is the safe move? Am I gonna lose places? Is there a chance I'm gonna spin? Is there a chance I'm gonna spin out the other guy? There's a lot of going into your mind, but of course you want to be as high as possible into the lead. Everyone wants to be P1. That's the most logical thing, of course, but it's I think a game of, am I gonna play it safe or am I gonna send it and hope for the best?
I definitely think so. I think, you know, of course, most of these drivers, I think they'd rather go safe than kind of just send it. But hey, of course, you know, we have seen unfortunate dives down the inside, but it does make for good racing, makes for some good content as well. So definitely not to blame. I do have to say that.
Might I add, I have 2 words. We have 2 retirements already. Mr. Josh Butler and Mr. Ross Hayden. Josh Butler exactly said this. Retired, spun on lap 2, got killed, went to pits, get hit coming out, cold brakes and tires to brake earlier. 2 more spins over it. Have a good race all. I hope to see you indeed next weekend, Mr. Joss, and let's hope that you will be able to make it a better race. Of course, we wish no one that he's gonna be killed in your words. That's not meant literally, guys. Killed. And then we have Hayden. His sim crashed while in the pits, so that's always unfortunate. That's the thing with online racing, with sim racing, I mean, sorry. There's always something technical that can go wrong. We had round 1, Mr. Charger actually, something with his graphics card driver it just killed him, got stutters, and yeah, that's the most unfortunate thing. Actually, looking here with Mr. Door with a beautiful white and yellow livery, now on board with Mr. Emma Play that's chasing Door. They have a separation of 0.2 of a second according to my statistics. Let's see. That's Mr. Plate catching Mr. Door with a few hundredths of a lap, of a second a lap. Excuse me. And that's gonna be interesting, of course. Plate with the beautiful Dutch flag on his back wing, might I add. Absolutely loving it. And they are going absolutely against each other. And that's Actually, I think Alexander in the background, maybe Panda can confirm that's Alexander behind him,
Yeah, I
also
mean,
trying to taste some of the fights.
yeah, I mean, honestly, Rocky, that is Alexander behind. Alexander's current problem is, he's been driving an amazing race, right? But his only problem is that he just can't overtake. Why? Because Mo plate and Door are so close constantly each other that they just aren't giving Alexander any space to overtake. So Alexander is going to try and get past, but going from P2 to P4 due to spin, it isn't necessarily going to work out great for him. That's all I'm going to say. Now, looking at Matthew Hodgson, what is he up to, Rocky? What is Hodgson up to?
Hodgson is, I see, up to a fight with Mr. A soon. As I'm trying to get some timings, but my Chrome just says no. So that's unfortunate. But he's onto driving, and I think some very good driving with. That's Mr. Plate actually, I think on the outside of Door into the, I think that's the 13th corner there. Still on the outside, trying to take a look on the outside of Mr. Door. I think he actually can smell some of the exhaust gases coming out of the car, Mr. Door, because they're absolutely close on each other.
Oh, definitely, the Rocket definitely has.
What are your expectations, Panda, with this battle? Who do you think is gonna win?
The thing is, right, is that because Door and Mo are so closely matched, I mean, last lap times, I do actually have them here. Door and Mo lap times within, I think that's 6/7 of a second within each other. So because they're lapping so close to each other, the thing is, even if Mo goes for a plate, right, he won't have enough advantage to keep that lead, right? And Alexander's problem is he is lapping constantly faster than both of them. But what's his problem? His problem is that because they're so close to each other, as Alexander goes for a move there, goes onto the curb there, and almost loses it, playing it a bit dangerous and sticking his nose in where he shouldn't. Dorky, as I was saying, Alexander's problem is he is lapping faster than them, but because those two are so close to each other, he just isn't getting any space to try and overtake them. And that's why we saw, him getting as desperate as he was there, because, he knows that if he lets Schuller get away, which Schuller already has a 10-second lead, he isn't going to be able to get back to him.
Yeah, it's mind games at this point, I think. Because Schuller is indeed way in front, so it's gonna be very interesting whoever wins this fight, if there's ever gonna be a winner within the next hour and 8 minutes, if they're gonna be able to catch Schuller. Of course, Schuller is absolutely fast in every car so far we have seen. I don't know what you're thinking, but that man is let's say crazy a little bit with how fast he is.
I mean, let's be honest, Donkey, aren't these guys always crazy fast? The top 5 in the field is usually aliens, from what we've seen. But here, Magnus Dogby now being hunted by Rick Binnersey. Rick Binnersey looking very confident about the Rocky and wanting a piece of Mr. Magnus. We'll see if he can start chewing off here in a bit. I think I saw a position change there. Not quite sure who, but I guess we'll find out a bit later sometime. Miko Sky now here, next to Kai Banks, or Mr. Godzilla. Kai not being able to do anything just yet, but he does want to. Back on board with Rick Binnersley, getting chased and is is chasing. Rocky, where do you see Rick ending up in this race?
P5. That's gonna be my guess. It matches his car number, so it's perfect.
Honestly, it would be pretty ironic. I mean, imagine Rick just pulls one out of the hat and wins the race. He does have over enough time, just starts getting pace and just beats the whole field.
Yeah, that's one of the things he is actually doing. Oh, that's Mr. Sky actually battling with Kai Banks there. They're going 3 wide out of that corner onto the straight. Guys, it won't fit 3 wides into a corner. Believe me.
Rocky, you aren't the fan of, the biggest fan of my banter, are you? You don't believe that Rick can get P1? I am extremely disappointed. No, but I just say that I going 3 wide through that straight. Definitely not the best idea. Miko doesn't look like he likes it either. Currently in front of Kai and Gretschel, and doesn't look like he wants to change that just yet. But Kai definitely wants to change it. Look at that. Very different stride from Miko. Kai and Miko now putting alongside. Kai barely alongside, who breaks the latest. And that is Kai who breaks the latest. Can Miko come back at him though? No! It changed! Oh no, it changed. Wait, is Miko still ahead? Is Miko still ahead? Can we go?
That's gonna be the question. I will take a look at the.
I think Mr. Kai Banks has gotten ahead of Mr. Miko, if my eyes don't deceive me.
Let's take a look. That's actually, by the way, Mr. Bindesley in the pits, back all the way down in P15.
Good early stop for him. We'll see what he can do. But now look at this battle for Zelo. Sneaks up the inside there of Xavier Eugenie and Kai Banks, and he now steals P9 away. Sorry, P7 away from them both. Sorry, I was talking about Tyrone and Dahlgreen, not Xavier and Kai Banks. Sorry, Magnus, Dahlgreen, and Tyrone. Victor Seo making a beautiful move there. He saw Magnus and Tyrone were kind of tongue up on each other. He made a beautiful move down the inside. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful from Cecilio. Do we have anything else? Magnus? As Cecilio pulls into the pits, he makes a beautiful move and then decides it's enough, I'm pitting. Drocky, do you think that's because he wants to savor that moment for a bit? Oh no, never mind.
Yeah, I'm still here for a second. I think they're trying to undercut each other. That's my guess. The mind games are real.
I do like that idea, Drocky. I'll let you go. Do your thing for just a second. I will hopefully try and do this by my own. Folks, this is Radek Schuller now lapping a few cars. Easy day for him at the workplace. His main rival has spun out, so he's just kind of in cruise mode and just getting around lap for lap. Look at that beautiful Audi. Just doing what he needs and doing what he always does, I guess. Asian, decent race from him so far. Been in a few really good battles. Currently having a look at Florentine still in front of him. We'll see if he can finally mount an attack on Florentine. But it's been quite. It's been quite a while since they've been going on with that. Ammo plate now still under threat by Alexander, but Alexander now 7 tenths behind. But Ammo plate currently threatening Mr. RWB Door, who isn't getting a break at all, and that is letting Radek Schuller, of course, get away. Ammo plate and Door separated by less than 4 tenths on each other. Yeah, they're on each other, folks. They have no brakes, and they are absolutely going for it. Look at these two. I mean, they just aren't stopping at all, are they? They just aren't stopping. They've just decided, nah, it's fine. We're just gonna continue battling. What could go wrong? And it's giving us some amazing entertainment. Emo's just not quite close enough for a move. Come on, Emo, make the move. You know you want to. Make the dive bomb. Come on, we believe in you, Emo. We believe in you. Oh well. But then, folks, of course, the story of the day is Mr. Alexander, who spun, was in P2 and then spun. Unfortunately, has quite a big gap now to our race leader. Let's have a look at Agent Shun again. Apparently something is happening with him. No, it isn't. Never mind, because something is happening with RWB Door. Now gap is 2.5 tenths to Mr. Ammo Plate. Let's see, can Ammo Plate do anything into the first corner? Onto the main straight onto the pit straight he goes now. Can Mr. Ammo Plate do anything into the first corner, folks? Is he close enough? 3.5 tenths. I don't think he is, and he isn't. He just isn't quite close enough to do something. And Ammo Plate left to reside in P3 because this man, RWB Door, beautiful driving from him to stay in that P2 position. definitely well deserved. And Mr. Alexander, of course, not being able to get past in the slightest. Having a look at their lap times, folks, we have the current difference between Door and Emo Plate's lap times is now less than 200ths of a second. Beautiful, beautiful, consistent lap times. Of course, behind them, Alexander actually 2 tenths faster than both of them on that previous lap, but not being able to use any of it. Why? Because he just can't get past them, and that's a recurring theme. Misano, you can overtake a Misano, but you do need quite a substantial lead or pace differential over someone, and unfortunately 2 tenths, I would say, just isn't enough to make a move and make it stick. Looking at RWB flag now, behind him, I believe is Peter Varga, and yeah, behind him is Peter Varga, and in front of him is then Asian. But next to me is Mr. Draki.
It is.
I think my intros, like me introducing you, just keeps getting smoother and smoother every time, doesn't it?
It is. I always just say it's getting windy in here because the door opened, because Mr. and then the name came in.
See, I actually have to think of like creative intros, you know. Actually,
Yeah, I'm not that creative at all the time.
You are, Draki. You need to unlock your creative juices.
My creative juices. Oh god.
That's what my art teacher used to tell me.
Oh, that's flag drifting. I think they're in front of flag, actually.
Down on P16. Why not, Draki? I mean, why not? What could... No, actually, that was Peter Varga. Sorry, that was Peter Varga drifting, Draki. Peter, of course, we've seen some amazing stuff from him as well. Probably deciding, why not? I'm on P15. I'm in a decent, good position. Why not do a bit of drifting?
I don't think it was planned, to say the least. Might I add, we should actually have a poll or something to vote for the driver of the day. But that's...
Okay, we'll ask. Maybe, maybe we see some.
Maybe we can set something up for that.
Maybe we see one of our trusted admins.
That's...
throw one up for us a bit later. But folks, in chat, tell us who's your driver of the day and why. We would love to know. Currently, Mr. Alexander still looking for a move on Emo Plate, but Emo Plate still looking for a move on Mr. Door. Draki, are we ever going to see an end to this battle? Is it going to come down to pit strategy?
Nope. We're never gonna see an end to this battle. It's the top... the guys in number 2, 3, and 4, so... Nah, they're gonna be fighting for the next 58 minutes.
For the next 58 minutes, just constant fighting. Folks, and their fighting has now allowed Mr. Radek to get away with 12.3 seconds. Yeah, honestly, 12.3 seconds, Rocky, in these GT3 cars, it isn't easy to make up, is it?
It's never easy to make up sometime, especially with these cars, with the GT3s around this track. It's respect for me. I won't ever do it like they're doing it.
I wouldn't even attempt it, honestly. I would not even try to attempt it. Yeah, folks, these drivers have something that that I think a lot of people don't. Well, no, that a lot of people haven't. How can I say this? That a lot of people haven't evolved into yet. Anyone can become a racer. It just takes time, hard work, and these drivers, the Rocky, definitely have both of them, don't they? I think, at least.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with that. They especially have both. In my eyes, they are all amazing drivers. Everyone that's on the grid today, everyone that's racing here. It's yeah, like we just said, we won't ever do it like they do it right now. I might attempt it, but I won't get on their pace, on their level.
Well, Doc, I mean, I have a few surprises for you, still in hand. I have a few people for you to race, so I think, I mean, listen, chat. What I'm saying is, if you guys want to see Drocky competing in one of these leagues, let us know. We could maybe we could set something up, get him in for a round. We'll get you in a GT4 car, or all the rest are in GT3 cars, Drocky. Just so you can get used to racing with
Oi, oi, man. Oi. I don't suck that much at racing.
Folks now looking at third Gretchel here. 4 temps in front of him is Miko Sky. That's been going on for quite a bit as well. But in front of Miko Sky now, by 3 seconds, is Mr. Kai Banks. But he's about 50 seconds behind Alexander for some reason. Alexander now pulling his pit stop, that's why. So Alexander now deciding to get into the pits, trying to undercut those 2 guys in front of him. And RWB door also in the pits. I assume responding to Mr. Alexander. Drocky, is this an undercut attempt, do you think?
I think an RW door was like, I see you. No, I'm not gonna let that happen. I will undercut your undercut.
Folks tonight, Vasilo, Cecilo, sorry. Cecilo now having a drive-through penalty, I assume, for speeding in the pits. Florentine, however, having a bit of a battle with Hodgkinson here, getting very close. Ooh, a bit too close. Did Hodgkinson have something there? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, beautiful battle between those 2 as well. Just having a bit of fun on track, because why not? What could go wrong? Drocky, favorite battle so far, would you say?
Blade with Door with Alexander.
I do have to agree. Amazing battle from them. Of course, Radek Sholo so far ahead in this race. But no, I do have to agree, Drocky. That's definitely, I do think, one of my favorite battles. They've had an absolutely amazing battle. And hopefully you see a bit more of it. Alexander, of course, he has brought us some amazing racing today, but I think he, would have hoped that he was a bit higher up than he is. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course they're all open to be a bit higher, but I have to agree indeed. Some drivers are at positions we're not expecting them to be at.
The Rocky, the interesting thing is, RWB door 2 seconds ahead of Alexander, both behind Mr. Gretchel, who hasn't pitted yet. This has become very interesting very quickly, because a 2 second gap between Alexander and Door, it's a bit weird, isn't it? But hey, we'll see how that works out. Hodgkinson and Mr. Florentin are now going at it. Who gets out in front? I think that is still Florentin that keeps it. Hodgkinson, he's got to try his best. Beautiful golf livery on the Audi there, and we switch away. But I think Hodgkinson came out successful through there. Look at this, Gretchel Drocky defending for his life, and that then puts off, oh my word, Gretchel kind of causing a bit of panic there as he almost misses the pits, and that causing quite a bit of chaos there between Mr. Door and Alexander, I believe. Not even for either of them. Door now right in front, but I think that is Alexander that now gets through, is it? Not quite sure. Oh no, they passed someone. They passed the back marker, didn't they? Alexander and Door fighting for their lives there. Door still ahead of Alexander by only 3 temps, Drocky. That's all that's in it.
That's a close battle, to say the least, I think. A very, very close battle.
I mean,
it's the overcut worked for Door for now. It's gonna be interesting to see if he might be able to pull away from Alexander and work his way up the grid again. But it all depends on if he makes some mistakes, if Alexander is faster. And that's actually someone going off, I think, or am I blind?
You could be quite blind.
Thank you for that very honest answer. on board with Door, with Jay Alexander behind him. They're absolutely pushing each other around this track, seeing where the gaps are, seeing where they can put pressure on each other. Who do you think is gonna be on top after this race, Jay?
The thing is, Rocky is Door amazing race, right? Alexander's well, and Alexander has more pace than Door, but the thing is Door is, has such a magnificent defense, and Alexander just doesn't have enough of an offense. He doesn't have enough of a pace over Door. Alexander doesn't have enough pace over Door to kind of get past and make it stick, and that's the unfortunate thing. Because Alexander kind of weaving there, saying, "Please just let me pass," and Door saying, "No, I won't. I want this position," which is completely understandable, to be quite fair.
Of course, it's understandable. Door wants that position, Alexander wants that position. So it's gonna be a massive fight. That's racing, and that's what I love about racing. Especially in this Audi, man. It's
an amazing car, isn't it? Do we want to? What we'll do? We do have a bit of a quiet spot here. So what we'll do is I think let's go through the calendar here, Rocky, of Clash of Warriors Season 2, folks. So then the next race will be next Saturday at the exact same time in the Audi R8 LMS GT4 cars, folks, and that would be around Zolder. In game time, 1300 again, with variable weather and 21 degrees Celsius. Qualifying will be during the week as always. Then for round 5, we head into the McLarens with the McLaren 720S GT3 2019 around Silverstone, and then Rocky, we're finishing off our season with the McLaren 570S GT4 at Laguna Seca. Out of all, what do you think? Laguna Seca? Fan? No fan? What do you think?
Should have been Zandvoort.
Should have been Zandvoort. Oh, let's see. Ammo played here, folks, pitting. Rocky, interesting color, do you think, for this 6 round event? Interesting.
I believe it's an interesting calendar, and I'm not very known with all the tracks, so of course Shoulder I definitely know, but it's gonna be interesting enough.
Okay, no, yeah, definitely, no, it definitely is going to be. It's going to Laguna Seca, I think, is going to be an amazing ending. But what's also an amazing ending is this man, folks. Radek Schuller still leading the race. He has led, as far as I can tell, every single lap of this race so far. Hasn't even dropped a single lap, and I think he might even try to replicate that because Emo Plate has now pitted, which theoretically gives Radek the go-ahead to pit as well, because he would still be in the lead of this race with a 54-second gap between Dahlgren and Kai Banks, and Dahlgren ahead of him. I do apologize. Dahlgren and Emo Plate, that is. As Dahlgren actually now pulls into the pits, and we look at Kai Banks. Kai Banks up in P4, but he hasn't pit yet. After the pit stop, what can we expect?
Him being bloody fast, flying around the track, and still getting back to his P4, P3. I think that's where he's going to be ending, P4, P3, somewhere around there. With the pace he's shown today, he really knows his track. He has a good setup. Going 3 wide into that corner, that's an interesting tactic. But yeah, Kai Banks is going to be high in the standings, I think.
Definitely. No, I'm pretty sure he will be. I'm pretty sure he will be. Folks, gonna take 2 seconds here. Rocky, if you have the events page open on our RWB website, which you can for yourself find in the description, www.rwbracing.club. Let's go a bit through the events. So, of course, we have Clash of Warriors Season 2. That would be next Saturday. But first, this Saturday, of course. Then, folks, this week, the 25th of January, at 20:45 GMT, we have the Constructors Championship Season 5, Part 2. It's going to be very interesting to see what our Constructors contenders can do there. Wreckfest Wednesdays will then be, of course, on Wednesdays. on this Wednesday at 20:30 GMT. It's a arrive and drive. Just join the Discord and come wreck some stuff. And then, of course, the Rocky, we have the Audi TT RS Coalition Cup. Personally, I've heard a lot about that. I wish I could commentate that, but I'm definitely going to have to watch it. In association with TSR, RL, and RWB, of course, we'll be hopping in the Audi TTRS, folks, for a 4-race series. Yeah, we're very excited to bring drivers from all these clubs together to race in this TT, and yeah, it's going to be extremely fun to watch. Drogi, do you want to read us the next few events?
Yeah, of course. We have the Formula Indy for next Friday, if I say correct. Yes, that's next Friday. I believe it's every Friday, right? From now on.
As far as
Let's see. Yes, this Friday, and then the Friday the 4th of February. There's another race of that. Then we have the Monday Fun drop-in series with the exact same settings for the Constructors Championship main events. That's always interesting to see. After that, the 19th of February, my favorite race, the race I'm excited to watch, the 9 hours of Spa big grid. We have 82 cars on the grid. 82 cars.
Oh, definitely.
That's chaos already there. And then we have an interesting one, an unknown league from the 26th of February until the 2nd of the 4th month of this year. And that's going to be the follow-up for the Clash of Warriors.
Well, it could be, maybe not. We wouldn't know. And then, of course, they have a lot of endurances after that. No, folks, definitely a lot of events coming up. If you want to drive, of course, sign up. If you don't want to drive, just watch, subscribe, and yeah, then we'll see you then. Droki, let's get back into the race. I know we have some racers watching, so let's get back into the race, and let's have a look. Let's have a field run now. First of all, I do want to point out that where are they? Alexander still behind Door and Mo. He's not going to be very happy about that. Droki, so let's do a bit of a field rundown. You can do the top 15 this time, then I'll do the rest.
Alright, P1, Radek Shuda, of course, the man of the hour. P2, Mo plays with behind him Door, and P3 with behind him Jack Alexander. The three still fighting. To my amaze, Mr. Kaibanks Godzilla P5. P6 we have our own Bad L. In number 7 we have Martin Schaefer. Absolutely flying out there, looking at his times. Then, the man that is still amazing us all, Rick Binnesley. Behind him, Nigel Woods, P9. Behind him, Magnus Dahlgren in the P10. In P11, we have Xavier Eugene. In P12, we have Miko Sky. P13, we have RWB Tyron. In P14, we have Dirk Gretschel. And P15 is Damien Wilk.
Very much lucky. In P16 and follow Damien is Cecilio after serving that drive-through penalty. Mraz right behind him in that P17 spot 28. Audi. Debug then following P18, our own Farron Debug in that top 20. Pretty brilliant from him. Peter Varga just passed Asian, so that puts Peter up into 19 and Asian down into 20th. RWB Flack in P21 with Burek to join him in P22. Holding them company behind him, however, is Hodgson and Fullerton in P23, P24. Respectfully, with Duckworth and Partez making sure to get into P25, P26. M. Sojblom, Tomas Sojblom slotting in P27 with R. Jones alongside, and then Butler and Hayden, of course, finishing up our top 30 today. The Rocky, I mean, what a race it's been, you know. I want to say halfway into the race, but I'm not quite sure if my math is correct. We should be under halfway.
Your math is very much incorrect.
Yeah, I was about to say, we should be. Yeah, okay, point being, right, we're over halfway into the race. We've seen so much action. Top 3. Okay, Rocky, let's do top 3 predictions. Top 3. What do you think?
Shula, of course, P1, P2, door, P3, plate.
Okay. I do like that. Now, I'm going to be a bit more realistic because there's a 3-second gap between plate and door. So I'm thinking Shula, plate, Alexander. I don't want to do it to Door. I absolutely love Door. He's a brilliant guy. But I think Alexander is going to be able to get past him, like on the last lap with a pipe bomb. As see Jones, they're actually a drive-through penalty, and we saw Kai Banks pitting as well. Interesting enough, let's have a look at Rocky. Where will Kai Banks come out? Where do you think he's going to poke out his head? Now, what position, Mr. Kai Banks? Where are you going to come out? Rocky, are you going to keep an eye out on that? Would you please?
I, of course, will you for you.
Oh. Mr. Hodgson then, folks. 4.5 attempts here to Burek, trying to get to him. Is he close? No, he isn't. Goes a bit wide and just doesn't have the traction out of that corner. Yeah, doesn't have the traction just yet. Although I shimmy wish he had. But now this is the man. Yeah, well, I'd say the second man of the hour, Mr. Mo Plate, 3.82 seconds separating him and Door. Between Door and Alexander, there's only 0.2, folks, to give an idea of how close this racing is. Mo Plate, beautiful pit stop strategy for him, overcut those two behind him, and was able to keep his P2 position. Beautiful racing from him, of course. Door and Alexander, they've been having this battle for quite a while. And we don't see an end to it just yet. Drocky, Mr. Kai Banks, give us an update.
Kai Banks, I don't know what he did on the last lap, but it was a 147.7. So that's gonna be interesting to see what happened there. But Kai Banks in P5, he's absolutely flying. Quite a gap to Mr. Alexander in front, of course. That's actually a gap of 19 seconds, and that's Kai Banks that got passed by Merel. Actually, not on the screen. Sorry, but I just saw it happen in my my pit wall, and that's Kai Banks falling down into the ranks.
Yeah, I think that might be his pitting, Drocky, him pitting. Pit will getting to it a bit late. Kai Banks, yeah, so that would explain his long lap times while he was in the pits. Kai Banks now down into P11, folks. How far is he behind Xavier Eugenie? 3.5 seconds. He can make that up. He should be able to make up the difference. On board now physically on board with Thomas Mraz. He is chasing down Cecilio in front of him. What are their times like? Mraz saying 1:37.507. Cecilio 0.6 faster that previous lap with a 1:36.962. But Cecilio dropping down order for some reason, Rocky.
I am not sure what happened there.
Not quite sure. Either Cecilio dropped what looks like to be 3 positions for no reason. Oh, as we see here, Door and Alexander going head to head. Looks like Alexander had it tapped Door there a bit, but Door's still in front. Let's see who gets drive now. Alexander should have had a better run to get past that back marker. Back marker slowing down a lot for them, and Alexander's still behind Door. Alexander Drogi, do you think he's getting a bit feisty now, a bit desperate even?
I think he wants his places back. Of course, it's never fun to lose some places, but I don't think that desperate is the right word. He's just maybe a little bit done with Door being in his way to his place back to P2. So yeah, I think he's just like, man, move over, unwanted place, it's my place, and burger off.
I mean, it's funny it's kind of funny to have a look, isn't it? I mean, these drivers all so good, then a driver that is slower than another one, being able to hold them up as much as he has. It shows, skills come in different shapes and sizes, and Door definitely has a skill for defending, if you ask me. Brilliant defending from him. But as I say that, it looks like Alexander somehow got past. I didn't notice that, but Alexander has now gotten past Dor. Drocky, it looks like Dor did decide to move over, and that has now paved the way for Alexander to get the Emo plate. Now, folks, Emo is 6 seconds up the road. There's 36 minutes left in this race. Drocky, what could still happen?
I mean, with this track, a lot. Place could make a mistake, Alexander could make a mistake, they could be still both driving clean and Alexander still catching, Alexander could be slower, so it depends on the lap times. So I think it's a little bit of a waiting game to see the lap times, and that's going to be deciding a lot in this race.
I definitely will. I mean, to give you an idea, Emma played 135 last lap. Alexander 137, but he was stuck behind Dor and he did have to make that overtake, so that cost him quite a bit of time. So Drocky, let us know in the times update for those two, and we can kind of compare them, have a look who is the faster person.
I will definitely do that for you.
RWB Dor now a second to Alexander, so Alexander is pulling away, but not as fast as I think he might have wanted to. Unfortunately, Rick Bittersea now, folks, being chased by Nigel Wood, but Rick, of course, being able to make any car why they give him, especially the boatly, as they call it. Beautiful from Mr. Rick. Anything else happening? Yes, there is. Mr. Damien Wilk here. He's having a bit of a battle with Mr. Dirk Gretchen in front of him, who's actually having a battle which looks like to be with Miko Sky. Of course, Miko, haven't seen too much of this race, yet we've seen a lot from him. It's weird, isn't it? We get a lot of situations where you don't see a lot of a driver, but you also see a lot of them. It's a bit of a weird situation, isn't it?
It's a bit of, I think, a lot of battles going on track, and people still just driving the race and doing whatever they can do. So,
I do have to say, Drocky, in chat, Mr. Charger saying Banksy is flying even with a bad toe. Do you think Godzilla's toe might be helping him, give him a bit of an extra boost?
I think it's not helping him at all. I think it's might be slowing him down.
I mean, he looks rapid, to be quite fair. He looks absolutely stunned. So.
But I don't know what he has done with this toe. All we know is injured it. So it's maybe interesting, because it always depends on is this toe on the left foot or the right foot, because you brake with your left foot, and braking needs a lot of power from your foot. It needs quite some strength.
Which toe did he say it is? He said,
I'm not sure.
Big toe. He hurts his big toe. So now the question is, can you brake without your big toe?
There are two big toes, you know, because you have 2 feet. So
can you brake and accelerate without your big toe, Drocky?
Accelerate, yes. Brake, no. Or it's harder, at least.
Well, obviously it isn't. Kai still doing some good on that track. Drocky, Elo Plate, Alexander. We asked you keep us up to date on the lap times. What is happening with the lap times?
Alexander is slower by quite a bit, by about 1.5 seconds. Accelerator is even slower than Dor, so Dor's catching him again. So it's interesting.
Yeah, Alexander getting into the free air doesn't look like he has the pace anymore, doesn't it? He has the confidence, at least, to be doing what he was doing at the start of the race. Not ideal, but hey, we'll see. Anything can change, can't it? Anything can change. Any other interesting gaps, Drogy, between the drivers? Well, as I say that, Autocam decides and he's going to answer it for you. Dirk Gretschel still under threat by Damien Wilk, but he is hunting Mr. Miko Sky. Dirk has been in this position for quite a bit. Miko as well. As we'll see what happens between those two. Look at Dirk. Beautiful, beautiful constant steering there, Rocky. Doesn't that just look menacing? He looks like a true racer, doesn't he?
In my eyes, they all look like true racers. I don't know how you see them, like unicorns maybe or something, but yeah, of course, joking.
Radek has a big hornet on the front of his car. Call it the unicorn mobile.
I know what I'm gonna do with my livery when I am racing in one of the seasons. I'm gonna put a unicorn horn on top of the roof.
That's an inside joke now. That now counts as inside, doesn't it? But Dirk, yeah, not really. I mean, Dirk and Miko. Let's have a look at the times, Rocky. Dirk, where's Dirk? Dirk's sitting 1:36.965. Miko's slower by less, just more than 10th on that previous lap, and then behind them, Damien Wilk catching by 0.2 a lap. Still not enough, is it, Rocky? It's still not enough to make a huge difference, is it?
It's such little of a difference. It's yeah, just too little to make that to make good gaps to be able to drive away from each other. So that's what I actually love about this race. The times being so close with each other and them not all being able to drive away. Of course, Blade was eventually able to drive away with, I think, some new tires on and some fresh fuel into his car. But it's, yeah, it's weird. I've not seen the times this close in races before.
I think, of course, as the season evolves, I think the drivers, they kind of... I want to say, they kind of learn each other's race styles a lot more, and I think that's why we're seeing the times getting closer and closer. I think, with the GT4s and Audis, it should be a lot closer then as well. So, yeah, I think we're not used to seeing these close times, but I think there's some method behind the madness. I think it's happening for a reason. If you get, it's happening for a reason.
It is, of course, happening for a reason. Them all willing to drive really clean, not wanting to hit each other, and of course trying to win. That's of course the main part in that.
And it looks like there's only one man currently winning, and that is Mr. Radek Schiller. Beautiful from him, isn't there? 19-second gap to Mo Plate. Mo Plate and Alexander, 8-second gap between those two, and Alexander and Dor, I think, a 1-point-something second gap. 2.2 basically now between Dor and Alexander. So Alexander showing his true pace again. Any interesting other battles happening? Mo, of course, Mo is doing his thing. He has 7 seconds, so he kind of does need to step on the gas pedal, get away from Alexander. Rocky, what would your advice to Mr. MOB? What would your advice be to him?
The right pedal is the gas pedal. Use it.
if you are watching, if you have this on in the background for some odd reason, the right pedal is the gas pedal. Use it. That's about all that we can. What advice can give you? Magnus Dull Green. I see him in the background there, in a very far background. Free test between him and Mr. Rick Binnersley. Hopefully, our camera switches to that. Please, camera. Please, can you? Of course, you are an autocam, folks, so us trying to telepathically talk to the cameras might not go as we wish. Not today, at least. Mo Plate here passing a back marker, and back marker not putting up too much of a fight, which is always good. Now, of course, Alexander also... Oh, no, look at that, Rocky! Oh, RWB Dor getting a drive-through penalty in the last 30 minutes of this race.
That's...
He held his own for so long, now getting a drive-through penalty. That's not ideal, is it, Rocky? That's... Oof. That's very hard to solve.
Yeah, that's gonna be a pain in the ass. He's actually already, I think, doing his drive-through penalty as he's into the pits. So, I think he's not happy at this moment, to say it softly and nice.
yeah, unfortunately, it is racing and stuff like that happens, but you're not going to be happy. You're going to be very upset. Just there's 1 or 2 extra mistakes, of course, and not really, working very well for you, unfortunately. But now looking at Tyrion, right behind him is Mr. Mraz, sorry. Mraz is catching, but not close enough, and behind Mraz is, of course, Debug. Do you think Debug can do anything? Rocky, do you think Debug will be able to... Right, actually, sorry, that isn't Debug. Well, it has to be, because there's 3 cars in a row. Oh! Ooh, Tyrion going of Mraz getting very close, almost unnecessary close.
That was almost a beautiful pit maneuver.
Yeah, it was almost a very beautiful police maneuver there. I think they might be practicing that at the academy currently. Agent Shun here going up against Hodgson. They're pulling alongside down here into one of the hairpins, and Asian still gets out ahead, but Hodgson close to his tail. Down into the proper hairpin now. What's going to happen? Is Hodgson go for a move? No, he isn't. Just a bit too far back, and Agent can hold that position quite nicely, but he can't see.
Of course, it's still Agent Shun, the guy that never lets someone pass in my eyes. I've not seen people get past easy. Let's say it like that.
I think him and Rick have quite a few things in common, and I think one of them is you don't let people pass. They just
yeah, and if you brake later, you're faster into the corner. I think that's one of their quotes also, because I have seen them do some brake lating into some corners. And that's Mr. Dahlgren with Mr. Binnesley. Dahlgren past Mr. Binnesley into that corner. Then now on the last little straight to the last corner. And that's...
Can anything happen?
It's Binnesley pulling past. He's a little bit faster down there. That's interesting to see. Dahlgren still has the inside on that corner. Binnesley has to get behind him and maybe try to overtake him again with some speed.
Well, you know what? We'll see. We'll still see a lot of speed from Rick. He's an amazing driver. And yeah, but funnily enough, Mr. RWB Door still in P4. Kept his position, but he's now very far behind Mr. Alexander. Nobody would have wanted. But Alexander, the gap between Alexander and Emo, still 8 seconds. Emo being able to keep his pace. And that is going to come down to the last few laps, I am telling you. Now, folks, I do have to say it has been extremely fun commentating tonight. Unfortunately, myself, I might have contracted a certain disease, which I'm not going to name because it has ruined a lot of our lives, so I'm not going to name it. So I'm not feeling the best of my abilities, but we got a man in here who's going to take over for the next 20-ish minutes, who is always at the top of his game, who always knows exactly what to say at the exactly right spots. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Rob.
Oh, good evening. How are we?
Mostly good. Mostly good.
Yeah.
As always, thank you, Rob, for joining, for coming, taking over. I do appreciate. Mr. Draki, thank you very much for joining me on our hour and 20 minutes. I do appreciate. Everyone watching, please do remember, do the customary subscribe, give RWB some support. We absolutely love doing this all for you. Give the admin some support as drivers, because we love doing this for you. Mr. Rob, thank you so much for coming in to help.
No worries. And yeah, will do. And I think I can say on behalf of all of us, Jay, just rest up, mate, and hope you're feeling better soon.
Give me a week, I'll be fine.
Give me a week, I will be fine. That's the Jay I know.
I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
See you again.
Cheers, mate. Bye. So, currently 22 minutes to go here at Misano. It's still Radek Schuller from Emo Plates first and second, and then we got Alexander in third, Door in fourth, Chafer fifth, Dahlgren sixth, and right on cue we actually cut to Magnus Dahlgren in the number 297. Then we got Rick Binnesley, Nigel Wood, Kai Banks Kai doing a cracking job indeed, starting from the back of the field, and then Xavier Eugenie rounding out the top 10. So yes, it's been an interesting race so far. Everybody using identical Audi R8 LMS GT3 Ultras tonight, by the looks of things. And as we see Rick Binnersley diving into the pits because he has a drive-through penalty. So no doubt, I think this is for presumably track limits, I'm guessing.
I would suspect that, yes, a lot of track limits out here, so that chance is large.
Yeah, because from experience of having driven around here myself on my PlayStation, you've got the only way you can actually set a quick time around here is if you are absolutely on the edge in terms of whether or not you're running too wide out of corners or you're cutting the corners or whatever, because Misano, let's not forget, was redesigned a few years back actually for bike racing, so they could get MotoGP back here in around 2007, 2008, and that's why they've actually reversed the direction of the circuit. So what is now the final corner used to be turn 1 back in the day, and also used to be a lot more sweeping than it is now. So yeah, it's certainly an interesting track. You don't see too much in the way of track limits infringements on the bikes, but when you've got a big 1.2 ton, 1.15 ton GT3 car, it is pretty easy to breach the track limits here, and I'm sure there are going to be quite a few drivers up and down the field saying, yeah, I got caught out by that. By the time we get to the checkered flag in just under 20 minutes time. Currently looking at Jack Alexander in 3rd place at the moment. Currently 10 and a bit seconds behind MO Plate, who's just crossed the line in 2nd place. And the reason why we're looking at Jack at the moment is because he's incredibly close to the car in front, which, admittedly, this is on autocam, so the car in front might not actually be for position, and in Jack's case, it's not for position, it's because he wants to put another lap on the driver just ahead of him. Runs incredibly wide there coming out of turn 3, and Jack gets by on the brakes into turn 4. Now we're looking at, indeed, Mikko Sky, who's in 10th place, just ahead of Dirk Gretschel, Damien Vilk, Rick Binnersley, RWB Tyrion, Peter Varga, Debug, Mad Owl, Cecilio, Matt Hodgson, and Schoen rounding out the top 20. Florentin's in 21st, Burke in 22nd, RWB Flack in 23rd. Now we're looking at Dirk Gretschel, who's got Damien Vilk right there with him. Coming onto the back straight now, and now we're looking at Jack Alexander a little bit further up the track, shall we say. Through this first kink here, easy flat. Through this second kink, also easy flat. And this third kink here is also part of the braking zone for this corner right here. And from experience, it's a very, very difficult couple of corners to try and take in a GT3 car. You want to try trail braking it in for the first part, and if you get it wrong, you're just going to be spinning. In fact, I remember we had a Constructors' Championship race here at the end of 2021, and somebody, if I remember correctly, actually got disqualified for losing it on the way into that particular corner, and then ending up cutting the track altogether, and then got disqualified for cutting about 2 corners, rather unfortunately. But it's an incredibly difficult section of track. Currently back on board with Dirk Gretschel at the moment in the 110. Damien Vilk right behind him there, with just under 17 minutes to go at the moment. So yeah, it looks like there's still quite a lot up for grabs here as we head into the last quarter of an hour.
There has been a lot of grabs indeed this round of racing, because I don't know, how long have you been watching, Rob, from the beginning, or?
I've been dipping in and out of it in between having dinner.
That's also a tactic I like to hear. But
yeah.
it is, yeah, it's just mad out there. Guys driving about the same lap times, catching each other, driving away from each other all the time. It's a little bit of pushing and pulling with the gaps. For at least the top 20. Behind there also, we have seen a lot of fights all over the field. So I think even with 15 minutes left to go, we can say it's a successful race.
Yeah, it's been a cracking race so far by the looks of things. Radek having pulled a bit of a gap to Emo in the battle for first and second. Of course, Radek was absolutely phenomenal around here in the KTM Crossbow GT4 in the Constructors' Championship in the back end of 2020 during the first half of that, and it's been he is showing that he does have a bit of a knack around here. And going back to what was said earlier about the injury which Kai Banks, RWB Godzilla, sustained in the run-up to the race, which caused him to miss qualifying. My theory is that when you're braking, because you're more often than not left foot braking in a GT3 car, a lot of the pressure is actually going to be coming from kind of like the ball of the foot just below where the toes are. So it might not be too bad for him in terms of like the level of discomfort, but that's just kind of my theory on it. So
I think that could be correct indeed. So he maybe could say he practiced too much and he injured his foot. That would be funny if that actually happened, because then I would mark him as a madman for driving so much ACC that he injured his foot.
Well, during the Kyle Army 9 hours at the end of the Endurance Championship last year, one of the, I think it was one of the MRT drivers, if I remember correctly, was actually nursing a knee injury and was still doing triple stints despite the injury. And we were just all like, okay, you're saying you're injured and you're still putting in the fastest laps of the race? Fair dues. And yeah, Kai has put in an absolute monster of a shift tonight. I don't know how many drivers took the start of the race, but from the back of the grid to 8th place is no mean feat. Even factoring in the duration of the race, that is still one hell of a drive which Kai has put in tonight. As well as we see Dirk Retschel still trying to fend off Damien Vilk, heading through the last few corners now. So this corner there coming up to slight lift, keep it in third gear, floor the throttle, and then brake down the gear into second, whereas the old original version of the final corner was a lot closer to where the inside pit wall is, and probably could have been taken third in a GT3, I reckon. So yeah, they did have to do a fair bit of modifying to the Misano circuit, given that it didn't actually meet the criteria for hosting MotoGP in terms of the actual circuit length. It was a few hundred meters too short, if I remember correctly. So they took the opportunity to rebuild it, modernize everything, and well, as you can see here, it really has paid off rather handsomely indeed. Jack Alexander still with the fastest lap of the race in third place, as we still look at Dirk Gretschel on the autocam. It's a quite good little battle going on here. So at the front, you've got Xavier Eugenie in car number 2. Then you've got the 777 of Sky. Then you've got Gretschel in 11th place. And then you've got Damien Vilk in 12th. And the 4 of them are separated by just over a second, maybe second and a half tops, as there's a car pulling off to the side there. And I think that's because Eugenie and Sky have actually collided on the run into the braking zone there. So that's why I think we saw both drivers pulling off to the side of the track. Now, who was at fault? Maybe that was Sky on getting on the anchors there to let Eugenie back in front. I do not know. We didn't quite catch the beginning of that, unfortunately, but the net result of that is that Dirk Gretschel is now in 9th place behind Kai Banks. Then Damien Vilk is rounding out the top 10. Then Rick Binnersley, in fact, has actually made it back up into 11th place. And then you have Xavier Eugenie and Sky. So that was quite dramatic, as I was talking about. Oh, there's a 4-car battle going on here for 9th place, and only for that to soon dissipate a little bit faster than maybe one was expecting, but there we are.
And that's what I love about this track. You never know what is gonna happen around here.
Oh yes, in fact they're both Xavier and Sky are actually quite lucky they ended up going off to the outside of the circuit as well, because if they went off to the inside, then they would have been in all manner of trouble, quite frankly, and probably would have actually risked getting disqualified for cutting too many corners, something which I was alluding to earlier on. So yeah, it was quite lucky they went off where they did. Xavier's only about half a second ahead of Sky at the moment, and then Peter Varga in 14th place is some 16 seconds back up the road. They've got a back marker ahead of them. I'm not 100% sure, unfortunately, who was driving the blue and yellow car, but we're now on board with Mikko Sky, second gear through the first part, down into first. Actually, for the tighter part of the first chicane, it's going to be hard on the throttle through the third part, then back hard on the brakes again for this tricky double apex right-hander. To a left-hander where you really have to cut the corner quite a bit, actually, if you want to get the make up the lap time. Then braking around the 100-ish mark, roughly, for this left-hander here. Try and get a good exit out of here and then into this, I guess, almost double apex right-hander. You don't want to brake or turn too much for the first part of it, because you're trying to brake and turn at the same time. So it's a really good test of trail braking here, actually. And then you want to get the best exit you can, for this run down here, down across the back of the circuit. So yeah, it's a tricky wee track to drive, this one. And speaking of tricky circuits to drive, it's currently the couple of RWB members are actually taking part in the Daytona 24 Hours at the moment. Got RWB Speed Demon, RWB CSAM, along with Brandon from Unlimited Drivers, who are currently taking part at the moment in a BMW GT car. And of course, best of luck to them and their teammates at Daytona as we speak. Now, we are looking at Peter Varga in the 14th placed Soul Race team, car number 12. At the moment, now we're looking at Debug. Got a decent gap between him and Mad Al, as Partes, down in 26th place, I have noticed has just received a stop and go plus 30 seconds. presumably for speeding in the pit lane. Currently in 26th place at the moment, just ahead of Jones and just behind Sherblum. So that's not going to do his chances much good. With just under 6.5 minutes to go here, we're actually looking at Mad Al at the moment because he's got Tuello right there with him. It's battle for 17th place at the moment. Mad Al with the almost, for anyone who's ever played the Codemasters Grid franchise of games, the almost Raven West Racing Team-esque livery. Roughly the same colours, and Slow is right there with him. He's going to have a look up the inside, has to back out of it massively there. That was a very, dare I say it, low percentage attempt from Cicillo, and he's currently in the infield at the moment, just rejoining the circuit. There's a definite driver error from Cicillo there. He thought he had the chance to make the move on the inside of that very tricky medium speed right-hander, and it didn't really work out well at all, quite frankly, for Cicillo. So Mad Al still in 17th place as we speak. Looking back at Jack Alexander now. And in fact, Cicillo's actually lost a position to Matt Hodgson so Hodgson's up into 18th at the moment, and Cicillo is down into 19th. See RWB Door in 4th place with Varga right behind him. Varga's currently in 14th. And then right behind them, I'm guessing is Sherblum. I've seen Emil run, or sorry, Mats rather, or either way, I've seen the blue and yellow, very patriotically liveried car, in the colours of the Swedish national flag. I think that might be Mats behind the wheel this evening. I'll have a quick check. It indeed is Mats who is behind the wheel. I do apologise. So, yeah, coming across the line once again now. Currently 62 laps completed by Radek Schuller at the moment, with just under 4 minutes to go. So maybe we can see 64, 65 perhaps laps maybe. I don't know 100%, so we'll keep an eye on that for you. Currently looking at RWB Door in car number 917. I should add we are on auto cam at the moment. So now we're looking at Dirk Gretschel in the 110 in 9th place. Currently coming up to the final corner now. Is it me, or is that final corner actually slightly banked almost?
I think it's maybe slightly banked, and that's, I think, with the height difference.
Yeah, because I think every time I've gone around there, it just feels as if the car wants to really hug the inside, and that's what's led me to think, well, maybe there's 1 or 2 degrees perhaps of banking to that corner. We're going to see, we're currently looking at Radek Schuller right now. We're going to see if see him coming through there at the moment, but it just feels as if he just wants to pull you towards the inside curb and then fire you out the outside. So it is definitely an interesting corner, and quite an important one too, because the opening chicane here is actually one of the better overtaking opportunities here at Misano. Looking at Emo Plate in his Valvoline liveried Audi. Of course, Emo being very familiar with the car because he actually races it in the Constructors' Championship. So does Kai Banks as well, for that matter. So there are a few drivers in the field who do have, admittedly, a little bit more track time in the GT3 LMS Evo, or sorry, GT3 LMS Ultra rather. As Partes comes in to serve his 30-second stop-and-go penalty. Interesting to see how many places he drops. Wondering if Matt Sherblin might have enough here to hold on to 25th. In fact, Matt's has gone up into 25th place. Right there in car number 555. So coming up to what is likely to be one of the final laps of the race. And
is he gonna make another lap?
Yeah, he's gonna make another lap
definitely.
Easily gonna make another lap with half a minute to go.
So then this should be the last lap for everyone, if I say it correct. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's gonna be the last lap. Radek's on his 65th lap at the moment. There's Rick Binnersley. Rick's only just getting onto the back straight here, so we're going to start seeing fairly soon, I'd imagine, the first drivers to take the checkered flag. I should add, they're not going to be necessarily in the overall order, but they're going to be in the order they take them, unless it's plus one lap. So I'm not 100% sure. If we're going to have a look at, in fact, I think it might well be plus one lap because nobody appears to have taken the checkered flag yet. Excuse me. It's going to depend on when Radek comes across the line, I think. So Radek right now is heading into the last few corners at the moment.
Might add another beautiful win from Shula because, yeah, that man is crazy fast.
Phenomenal driver is Radek Sher, and he comes out to the final corner now to take victory here in the Clash of the Warriors series here at Misano. Oh, you can tell I'm used to commentating on another championship beginning with C. Mad Out has taken the checkered flag in 17th place. We're currently looking at Matt Hodgson's cross the line in 18th. Mo Plate's going to come home in 2nd place. We've got Chafer, Dahlgren, Wood in 5th, 6th and 7th. Cecilio's crossed the line in 19th. Duckworth has crossed the line in 23rd. Currently looking at Jack Alexander now. He's got a couple of cars in front of him. We'll do a full rundown for you after they've mostly crossed the start-finish line. So just currently looking at RWB Door at the moment in 4th place. Very well-earned result from him. See who else is next to cross the start-finish line. I imagine there's a few cars ahead of him as we speak. But he's just crossed the line now to take 4th place. So it's Radek Schuller in 1st from Mo Plate in 2nd. Then it's Jack Alexander, RWB Door, Martin Chafer, Magnus Dahlgren, Nigel Wood, Kai Banks, Dirk Gretschel, Damien Vilk rounding out the top 10. Then we have Rick Binnersley, Sky. Then we have Xavier Eugenie, Peter Varga, RWB Tyrion, Debug, Mad Out, Matt Hodgson, Cecilio and Florentin rounding out the top 20. Then we got Schoen in 21st, RWB Flack in 22nd, Duckworth in 23rd, Sherblum in 24th, Partes in 25th, and Jones in 26th. So I try to round out the field before everyone disconnects. Well, there's another fantastic evening's racing in the Clash of the Warriors series, season 2. How did you find that, Drake?
You butcher my name. That's absolutely not me. Yeah, it's no problem. No problem. I'm getting used to it. It's a crazy race. Wasn't very known with the track. Read something on Wikipedia and viewed a few videos, but the race itself, it's crazy, man. Those guys were matching each other's pace in the midfields. Even in the back, where we normally see quite some big gaps, they were actually quite close on each other. So I think we can all say, from driver's perspective and from a commentator's perspective, that was one amazing race.
Yeah, I'd agree. It was a fantastic race tonight in the Clash of the Warriors Season 2. Got the next round coming up at Zolder in Belgium, where everyone will be switching to the GT4 version of the Audi R8. Instead of the LMS Evo, they'll be in the LMS GT4. And that's going to present its own unique challenges on what is a fairly similar circuit in terms of the characteristics of it, but at the same time, there's also a lot more elevation at Zolder, so it's going to be interesting to see who can adapt the best to the GT4 version of the Audi R8 LMS and the track conditions. So that's the next round of the RWB Clash of the Warriors series. Coming up on Tuesday night, we've got the final round of the RWB Constructors Championship from Kyalami. It's going to be a fantastic pair of races, 2 25-minute races on the night. I'll be back in the commentary booth for that one. So that's definitely something to look forward to. And in the next couple of months, we've also got the 9 hours of Spa big grid race with 82 teams entered. So that's going to be a fantastic day's racing as well. My thanks to Drake for the co-commentary, and to Panda for letting me jump in for the last few minutes. Hope you're resting up, mate, and hope you feel better soon. My thanks also to Nate for hosting the stream tonight, and I've been Rob Lomas, and as always, it's bye for now.